right, welcome to the Patriot Hour for Sunday, October 27th, 2019. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining us. Here at the Patriot Hour, we have been going over, for about 2 years, a little under 2 years, a story following the facts where it leads us, connecting all the dots. Just similar to what, Durham's inquiry into the DOJ's handling or the FBI's has turned criminal because they're connecting the dots. William Barr and John Durham had recently just went to Rome. They're traveling all over the world, connecting the dots and giving us more and more every day. We expect bombshells this week, folks, bombshells. Again, want to take a minute here with the big news. Trump last night kind of trolled on Twitter pretty late in the evening that big news, just something very big has just happened. And the announcement came this morning as the ISIS leader was killed in a raid, a Trump-authorized military raid. It was a JSOC, Joint Special Operations, made up of Joint Special Operations groups, all right? They were on the ground. To those members in this mission and their families, thank you, and God bless and Godspeed. Nobody was harmed. I guess this guy took off running and got trapped. And now, I think he blew himself up from what I read. That's what they're reporting. But was screaming and crying, they said. I was real upset that he had gotten cornered. James Comey says he'll move to New Zealand if Trump is reelected. You can watch that. James Comey could soon face criminal probe. Like we said, he had gotten off a little kind of easy in the last little IG report. They had some charges. They said he did leak or he did lie, but we're not going to press any charges. We were all really baffled. And we said, well, if the federal government's got like 20 charges on him, are they going to necessarily go after that one? It was a really lesser charge, and some of this other stuff can be what does him in. So James Comey could soon face criminal probe. Late Thursday night, the New York Times reported that the Department of Justice investigation into the origins of the Russia probe has turned into a criminal investigation. Now, isn't that funny that everyone on the left or the deep state are screaming, this is politically driven? But if there's crimes there, it doesn't matter. They never would have found them if it wouldn't have been politically driven. Oh, okay. So we should ignore crimes if that's where the connected dots lead us. It is believed that the former FBI director James Comey could be called to testify about his agency's decision to launch a counterintelligence investigation called Crossfire Hurricane into the Trump campaign in 2016. They had called it Crossfire Hurricane. Now we're calling it Year of the Boomerang. Comey has come under fire for the FBI's use of the now infamous Steele dossier as a justification for Intelligence Surveillance Act applications and renewals through the FISA courts, and has been accused of knowingly misleading the foreign intelligence surveillance courts about having verified this salacious information in the dossier. Horowitz recently sent a criminal referral to the DOJ over Comey's decision to leak internal memos into his conversations with Trump in the hope of having a special counsel appointed. Those are his exact words. Though the DOJ declined to prosecute. The DOJ recently asked several foreign governments for their cooperation in the Durham probe, and reports say that Durham's probe expanded in scope after he uncovered new evidence during a recent trip to Rome, Italy, with William Barr. So we know that they're doing their job. They're going around and they're talking. Will they do the right thing? Will these guys stop the coup that is in play right now? That is the question that all of us are hoping they do the right thing. Trump's giving everybody all the all the room and legal means that they need to do the right thing. Can't make them. You can lead a horse to water. Can't make the damn thing drink it. All right? We can get the declassification for the world to see, but we can't force them to read it. I can read it to you. Can't force you to listen. There's things that we're going over that have been released 6 months ago that the media has not given it any coverage for whatever reason you could come up with. It's been an unbelievable time, folks. I know some of you are so smart. I love you. You're the greatest patriots I've ever met. But some of you others have just, you don't get it. And you're the reason. You're just like the rest of us. We were at fault at one point or another. Complicit, turned the blind eye, helped propagate another neighbor, our friends, our family, told them the wrong things, shoved it down their throats as fact because we were lied to. And that's unwittingly. I'm not saying that we did it malicious, to lie, to come out and lie to you guys and, shove something and then be wrong is different. If you know you're lying or if you think it to be, we know there's a slight, there's a big difference there, but, bottom line is you'd been wrong and misled, no matter how you got there. Okay, why we are a republic and not a democracy. And I used to say the opposite on that, not the opposite, that we were a republic with a democracy or within, so how do you, but here is a great article I saw on DC Dirty Laundry, airing out America's dirty laundry, why we are a republic and not a democracy. Just to clarify everything we've been talking about on this, because I have labeled videos in other ways and said things in articles that I've read. But here we go. This is a pretty good one by Walter E. Williams. And let me turn down the, take off the banner there. Fine line with that music. Okay. So Hillary Clinton blamed the Electoral College for her stunning defeat in 2016 presidential election in her latest memoirs. What happened? You lost. That's what. Some have claimed that the Electoral College is one of the most dangerous institutions in American politics. Why? They say the Electoral College system, as opposed to a simple majority vote, distorts the one person, one vote principle of a democracy because electoral votes are not distributed according to population. To back up their claim, they point out that the Electoral College gives, for example, Wyoming citizens disproportionate weight in a presidential campaign. Put another way, Wyoming, a state with a population of about 600,000, has one member in the House of Representatives and 2 members in the U.S. Senate, which gives the citizens of Wyoming 3 electoral votes, or 1 electoral vote per 200,000 people. California, our most populous state, has more than 39 million people and 55 electoral college votes, or approximately 1 vote per 715,000 people. Comparatively, individuals in Wyoming have nearly 4 times the power in the Electoral College as Californians. Many people whine that using the Electoral College instead of the popular vote and the majority rule is undemocratic. I'd say that they are absolutely right. Not deciding who will be the president by the majority rule is not a democracy. But the founding fathers went to great lengths to ensure that we were a republic and not a democracy. In fact, the word democracy does not appear in the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, or any of our founding documents. That's crazy. But this is fact. So, covering your ears does not change the facts. How about a few quotations expressed by the founding fathers about democracy? In the Federalist Paper number 10, James Madison wanted to prevent the rule by majority fraction, saying measures are often too decided, not according to the rules of justice and the rights of the minor party, but by the superior force of an interested and overbearing majority. John Adams warned in a letter, "Remember, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There never was a democracy yet that did not commit suicide." That is great words he chose there. So Edmund Randolph said that in tracing the evils to their origin, every man has found it in the turbulence and follies of the democracy. Then Chief Justice John Marshall observed, between a balanced republic and a democracy, the difference is like that between order and chaos. The founders expressed contempt for the tyranny of majority rule, and throughout our Constitution they placed impediments to the tyranny. Two houses of Congress pose one obstacle to the majority rule. That is, 51 senators can block the wishes of 435 representatives and 49 senators. The president can veto the wish of 535 members of Congress if it takes 2/3 of both houses of Congress to override a presidential veto. To change the Constitution requires not a majority but a 2/3 vote of both houses. And if an amendment is approved, it requires ratification by 3/4 of the state legislatures. Finally, the Electoral College is yet another measure that thwarts a majority rule and makes sure that the highly populated states today, mainly 12 of them on the east and west coasts, cannot run roughshod over the rest of the nation. That forces a presidential candidate to take into consideration the wishes of the other 38 states. So, like we know, the bottom line is if we went with the popular vote, which we don't run. Now, if you're going to run for the popular vote, you would run your mechanics of an election much differently. You would visit different places. You wouldn't worry about something kind of like Hillary did. They keep claiming she won the popular. Well, if you're running, you wouldn't even try to win the popular. You'd straight go for the electoral numbers, all right? Because if it was a popular vote, folks, a lot of you already know this, but I'll just say it. It would take LA, if you can win LA, Chicago, and New York City. Those three big cities, all right? LA, Chicago, New York City, and then maybe one place down in Florida. The retirement area, maybe one of those bigger cities where a bunch of retirees live. If you can hit up those 3 to 4 places, you can win the vote. And we know the people in LA, Chicago, and New York, they don't live like everyone else around the country. But a majority of the people are crammed into those 3-4 places. About 4 major big cities, or 3 big major, those 3 big ones I named, and a spot down in Florida could do it. But you would run much differently, and there's just no point to try to, I won the popular, that should matter for something. Not when you don't end, that just doesn't matter. So finally, we read that those Americans obsessed with the rule by popular majorities might want to get rid of the Senate, where states, regardless of population, have 2 senators. Should we change representation in the House of Representatives to a system of proportional representation and eliminate the guarantee that each state gets at least 1 representative? Currently, 7 states with populations of 1 million or fewer have 1 representative, thus giving them disproportionate influence in Congress. While we're at it, should we make all congressional acts by the majority rule? When we're finished with the establishing majority and rule in Congress, should we then move to change our court system, which requires unanimity in jury decisions, to a simple majority rule? And then he ends it here with, my question is it ignorance of our contempt for our Constitution? It is ignorance of our contempt for our Constitution that fuels the movement to abolish the Electoral College. So there you go. That's his question. Is it ignorance, or is it of or competent for our Constitution that fuels the movement to abolish the Electoral College? So if you don't understand it quite, you can say you want to abolish this, but then what are you going to do with all these other issues? People probably most likely have not thought that out. Okay, I hope you all enjoyed your day today. It turned out to be a nice fall day here in the Midwest. I got out and got some first round of leaves picked up, yard vacuumed, whatever you want to call it, and put out into the woods where they kind of came from. And they will break down and wither away and go right back into the ground where they belong, I would imagine. So that's how I do it, in layers. I never wait for them all to drop. How horrible. Then you put the rake down if you had to, and one little pull, and poof, you got a pile, and it's just best to do it. So Obama's James Clapper, who is under federal investigation, says killing ISIS leader is a bad thing, by the way. I was imagining the spin on this. I thought, well, Trump didn't really get him. He blew himself up. Or the special forces guys didn't get him. Trump didn't do anything great, I mean, it was, this is the number one bad guy. So, I'm not saying that, but that's what they say. Not Trump, but, before him. Somebody that they were looking for. ISIS, the number one bad guy in the world, possibly. James Clapper, now it's a bad thing. Geesh, you guys do all kinds of foreign involvement, taking out people, setting up shops, and trying to get rid of dictators in one place and bringing in other ones. And, none of that's bad, though. This could be a real bad thing. Of course, they're going to spin it. But, all right, we're going to shut this one down. We went our mark. You guys have a great rest of your evening here on Sunday. I'm working on other things, and we'll be back later tonight or tomorrow morning with another video. Have a great evening. God bless. Where we go one, we go all.